everyone, this is Maureen Amari of Baking with Amari. In this channel, we share cake decoration tutorials, baking tips, and baking recipes. So if this is something you're interested in, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button.
So there's various types of cake decorations you can use, and in this tutorial I'll be sharing with you guys how to use wafer paper to decorate a two-tiered cake. So this is an alternative to something like fondant. So what you want to do is purchase the wafer paper. In this particular case I wanted white, so I purchased the white one. Sometimes some cake supply shops sell colored wafer paper. I bought the A4 type. And this is what I'm using. And basically I just bought a whole packet of the A4 wafer papers. And what I'm doing is preparing for the outside decorations. And you can cut squares of about 2 to 3 inches a piece. Then you want a fondant steamer. You can use boiling water, like you can put boiling water on a pot and use the steam on this. But I prefer using a fondant steamer if you have one. And what you're doing is wetting each square and then making sure you touch them to make this sort of crinkled shape. And you can just wing it with a different kind of shapes and make just, some things that are not 100% similar. After you do that, you want to keep them aside like on a tray and just kind of have them dry because you have to kind of let them dry first before you use them. Then after that, you can work on the next type of decoration, which in this case is going to be vertical strips of wafer paper. Now, for them to be the same size, you do have to pre-measure before you need to measure the height of your tiered cake. And then you can decide on a width, like I can decide I'm going to do a 1/2 inch or like a 1/4 inch for this. So that's what I did. And then what I'm doing is I'm using a ruler to just kind of make sure I've cut them straight and they come out really perfect. So again, you can use a scissor for this, but I prefer using an X-Acto knife because it kind of cuts it better, more efficiently for me. So whatever you want to do, you can do that. So this first part is just going to be prep. After that, you want to make sure you cover the whole cake round with wafer paper. Now, I've tried this design with just directly wafer paper, and the problem is that it doesn't stick on the cake. So if you use a wafer paper round, all round, and just cover the tiered cake first, then add the wafer paper and attach it with water, it works out better. So this is a 2-tiered cake. I'm starting with a smaller tier. You can use a tape measure, or you can just kind of do what I did, was just kind of eyeball it to see sort of like the length around, right? The length around the cake. And then now you want to, in this case, I didn't have very long strips. So I just kind of attached them with water, like you can see, and just covered the cake all around. You can crumb coat this with like a soft cream. I prefer using buttercream because it is soft enough, but it's not too soft. I haven't tried this with whipped cream, but you can try. The trick with this, though, is that these cakes were in the fridge. And so I removed them like 30 minutes before. So right now what they're doing is that they're sweating a little bit, which I want, right? I want this so that the wafer paper is able to stick to that condensation or that moisture and stay in place. And the good thing is that what it's going to do later is going to dry up. So you're going to do the same for the second tier. So this is the bottom tier. You're going to do the same. And I have already doweled the bottom tier before I do this. So you want to dowel so that you don't have to come back doing this again. Now you can do it right after putting this, but I prefer to dowel first. As you can see, there's 4 dowels, and then I put the wafer paper around. Okay, so if this is a custom order, you're doing this for like a wedding cake, please do use food gloves. Okay, after that, after you've put the wafer paper around for both of them, what you want to do is place the tiered cake on top. So after this, I'm just going to lift it because this has been chilled for a while. You're going to lift it and place it here. Now, I didn't have a central dowel because this was for a tutorial. But of course, if you're doing this for like a wedding or something like an event, it's important to have a central dowel going from the top tier to the bottom tier. What you do after this is you want to attach the wafer paper decorations you did at the bottom of the tier. So I'm using the crinkled ones for the bottom tier. Again, you can make this colored if you want to, or you can airbrush it if you want to. I just wanted to leave this white. So you can just apply some water with a small brush, a food brush, and just attach these decorations anyway. So you want to make this sort of, there's no particular pattern, but you do want to try as much as possible to cover the spaces so it looks like a beautiful design, right? So it's one of those sort of rustic concepts. So all I did was basically go around and just add the decorations. Now, once you've had the decorations go around the cake, just kind of go around making sure you haven't left any spaces, adjusting or adding anything else you want to do. Now, for the top tier, I wanted to do the vertical cake decorations, or the vertical wafer paper decorations, so that they can just be close together. So this was a little bit more difficult because of how accurate you kind of have to be trying to put the strips kind of close to each other, but not too close to each other, right? And then also another thing is that you have to make sure you have enough. I had to cut a bit more strips because I ended up using more than I thought. But as you can see, you just kind of want to take time. So this is going to be the most time consuming part. You just kind of want to come dipping one side in the water. You can dip it in a bowl of water, which was, I found, a bit easier, like you can see, but you can also paint one side with water or with a brush. You can see what works for you. Dipping the water makes it wet enough for it to stick on the side of the top tier, as you can see. And you want to make them not too close, but you want to make them close enough. Now, what I was doing is if I find a very big space, I would come and add that. And that's it.